A very good morning to all of you. I am Raghbendra Kumar Singh from the Department of English, GLA College, Daltongarh. This class is meant for the students of English Honours Semester 1st, and the topic has been taken from the Core Course 101. The topic is Understanding the Theme of Godan, written by Munshi Premchand. Boys and girls, before I deliver my lecture on the theme of Godan by Munshi Premchand, I would like to quote some lines from Urdu poetry and English poetry respectively. And those lines are, वक्ते सूरज हूँ मैं अपनी रमक छोड़ जाऊंगा, अगर डूब भी गया तो क्या हुआ कोई सबक छोड़ जाऊंगा. Mark these lines, boys and girls. वक्ते सूरज हूँ मैं अपनी रमक छोड़ जाऊंगा, वक्ते सूरज हूँ मैं अपनी रमक छोड़ जाऊंगा, अगर डूब भी गया तो क्या हुआ कोई सबक छोड़ जाऊंगा. And after that, for man may come and man may go, but I go on forever. These lines of Alfred Tennyson absolutely glorify the name and fame of Munshi Premchand. History creators never die. Those who set up a strong tradition in society, they work like the lamppost for the next generation. And those who set a very good example before the society, such type of people cannot be diverted by time. Novels will be written and novelists will come and go. Novelists emerge like the sun and they set off like the comets in the world of novel. But by virtue of ever memorable novels like Godan, Godan and Nirmala, and short stories like Namak Ka Daroga, पंच परमेश्वर एंड बड़े घर की बेटी एंड शतरंज के खिलाड़ी ईदगाह, मुंशी प्रेमचंद holds a very high place among the novelists of the world. Without any doubt, Munshi Premchand is a luminous star of Hindi literature. He is the most widely read novelist in Hindi, and it will be no exaggeration to say that Munshi Premchand is the king of Hindi novelists. Boys and girls, this was the general introduction about this great literary figure of India. Now, let us talk about the background. Before Munshi Premchand, novel writings in Hindi were along fancy, fantasy and imagination. Writes Acharya Ramchandra Shukla. He says that before Munshi Premchand, novel writing was purely a romantic world where the kings, the queens, the princes, the ministers, the aristocrats dominated. It had nothing to do with the realities of life. Novelists never maintained their social commitment. We can take the example of Chandrakanta here in this context, which was written by Devaki Nandan Khatri. What we find that this novel, of course, provided with a wonderful entertainment, but it had nothing to do with the problems of society. It was Munshi Premchand who broke this tradition and introduced the elements of realism and idealism in Hindi novels. You go through any of the novels or the short stories of Munshi Premchand, what will you find? That like Maxim Gorky or Charles Dickens, his characters are from the lower strata of life. In his stories or in his novels, what we find that the main characters are the farmers. The main characters are the downtrodden. The main characters are from the marginalized sections of society. And that is why critics address Munshi Premchand as the Charles Dickens of India. Let us talk about the novel now. Godan by Munshi Premchand is a timeless and ageless novel in Hindi. This novel is a precious gem in Hindi literature. This novel is called the last novel of Munshi Premchand and it was published in the year 1936. But what my opinion is that Godan is not merely a novel in Hindi, rather it is a historical document of the socio-economic, political and cultural situations and problems of Hindi society. Here in this novel, Munshi Premchand has attacked the social evils, and here in this novel we find a fine delineation of the rural life and the urban life. Rural life has been stressed more, whereas urban life has also been dwelt upon. Munshi Premchand was a novelist who gave importance to this fact that literature is meant for social commitment and the challenges of life should also be adequately met by the trends or the different branches of literature. And that is why in almost all of his novels what we find that Munshi Premchand does justice with the problems of society and he encourages the readers to come and search those problems of society. Let us talk about the beginning of this novel. Here in this novel, Hori is the main character. He is a poor farmer, he is a poor peasant. Gobar, Sona and Rupa are his children and Dhanya is his wife. Gobar is a 16 years old boy and he has fallen in love with the daughter of Bhola. And this love story of Gobar and Junia, in fact Junia is a young widowed daughter of Bhola and she has fallen in love with Gobar, and this love story of Gobar and Junia has opened the Pandora's box for the family of Hori, which was already in the grip of poverty, hunger and exploitation. Boys and girls, this is the time to talk about as to how this novel sets up, or how the novel develops, or what are the turning points in the novel. In fact, Godan is the outburst of two desires, and those two desires are the desire on the part of Hori, the main character, and Bhola, a character who is already 50 years old, but he wants to marry a second time. He is not interested in marrying his young widow daughter. He is interested in his own marriage. So there is the clash of desires. There is the explosion of desires. Hori wants to have a cow. And in order to do this, whether the way is wrong or right, it does not make any difference to him. He manages the cow from Bhola, and on the other hand, Bhola is somehow or the other swindled by Hori. This desire of having a cow on the part of a poor person brings calamity to the poor farmer Hori. Hori is poor. Hori is penniless. But in spite of that, he has a long nurtured desire to have a lovely cow in front of his house. He wanted to show his status to the society, and at the same time, he wanted to have some milk for his children, particularly for Godan. So as far as the turning point in this novel is concerned, it is due to the poisoning of the cow by Hori's brother Hira. Hira poisons the cow, and Hori's long nurtured desire comes to an end. On the other hand, Gobar and Junia were in love affairs, and with the passage of time, before marriage, Junia has become pregnant, and it has invited all the problems in the life of Hori. Hori is encircled with a number of problems in his life. Hori is the main character, and his life is marked by poverty. His life is marked by hunger and exploitation at each and every step by the landlords and moneylenders. This has become one of the characteristics of Hori's life. In Godan, Munshi Premchand had shown as to how a poor farmer, how a helpless farmer has to face innumerable difficulties in life. The hero of the novel ultimately dies in his battle against poverty, hunger, and exploitation. Godan by Munshi Premchand is a heart-touching novel, and at the same time it is a heart-rending novel. It is a novel which focuses on this point as to how the farmers in the villages were being exploited by the landlords, and how the moneylenders were sucking the blood of the poor farmers. So Godan, in one line, it is a novel of poverty. It is a novel of the manifestation of exploitation. It is the expression of the helplessness and helplessness of the poor farmer. We have discussed something about this novel. Now the question arises, what is the theme of this novel? Critics are of this view that when you go through a novel which is like an epic in prose, it becomes very difficult to pinpoint the theme of this novel. However, there are some of the points which may be considered as the theme of the novel. As I have mentioned earlier, Godan is a timeless novel. Godan is a timeless classic. It is a novel having ageless appeal. And as far as the theme of this novel is concerned, first of all, I would like to make you know that ruthless exploitation of the poor farmers at the hands of the landlords and the moneylenders is at the nucleus of this novel. Through this novel, Munshi Premchand had shown the pitiable, the miserable condition of the farmers as to how their life, which was sandwiched between poverty, hunger, exploitation, age-old beliefs and superstitions on the one hand, and the false customs of society on the other hand. Munshi Premchand has to emphasize this fact here in this novel that debt or loan is the naked reality of a farmer's life. A farmer's past, present and future is characterized by debt. Debt is the naked reality. And this naked reality has been shown, has been focused in the novel as to how a farmer works hard in the field. Throughout his life, he goes on fighting against poverty, corruption, casteism, and exploitation. Through this novel, Premchand is going to prove that debt, or what we call in Hindi karz, is the naked reality of a poor farmer's life. Debt affects the life of a farmer in the present. It affected the life of the farmer in the past, and it is sure and certain that when past and present are in danger, sure and certain future will be bleak. And Munshi Premchand wants to draw the attention of the readers toward this fact that here, this is the time. It is a call. It is a great call to come and help the poor farmers of the society. Through this novel, one thing is also to be taken into account, that through this novel, Munshi Premchand has exposed the hollowness and hypocrisy of Hindu society during the days when we were being ruled by the British people. Through Godan, Premchand has made a scathing attack on religious bigotry. And by religious bigotry, what we mean, what we call in Hindi, dharmandhata. What Munshi Premchand wants to say, that religious bigotry is in fact the result of blind faith. And blind faith springs from ignorance. Here in this novel, Munshi Premchand has targeted satire on the social evils like untouchability, casteism, dowry system, and divorce also. This novel presents a wonderful expression of the life of the people in the villages and the life of the people in the rural area. Of course, in the novel, the rural area has been represented by the characters like Hori, Dhania, Sona, Rupa, Julia, Dataden, Celia, Mataden, etc. And as far as the urban society is concerned, this has been represented by Professor Mehta, Miss Malti, the Rai Sahab, Govindi Devi. All these characters represent the urban life. But Munshi Premchand is very much interested in describing or manifesting the village life, as to how the people were leading a very miserable life. They were working hard in the field, and in spite of that, it had become very difficult for them to manage both the square mill. Here, in this novel, Munshi Premchand has presented a large gallery of characters, and these characters represent the various strata of Hindu society. Here in this novel, Munshi Premchand has described the adverse effects of industrialization, and how the industrialization had started, and it had started making people money minded, and that's why even in the villages people had become corrupt, morally degraded, and this has been very well shown in Godan. But boys and girls, that does not mean that Godan is nothing but the expression of exploitation. Certainly, it is the expression of the exploitation of the poor farmers by the landlords and the moneylenders of the existing society. But at the same time, there are beautiful love stories which prove that by virtue of love and reconciliation, by virtue of love, sympathy, we can win the heart of others. And if we want to make a progressive society, there should not be any place for exploitation in society. Only then we will be able to make a progressive society, a developed society, a civilized society. And Premchand wants to see all these things. Now, the question arises, by projecting all these things, what is the purpose of the novels? By depicting that poor farmers are being exploited in the villages, and how the moneylenders were sucking their blood, how moneylenders and the priests or the Brahmins were usurping the rights of the poor farmers. Through this incident, through these situations, Munshi Premchand wants to draw the attention of the people towards this fact that this problem of society is not God-made, rather it is man-made. And at the same time, he wants to suggest to the people that those who are working hard in the field should not be humiliated, or he or she should not be given the inhuman treatment, he should not be insulted or humiliated. In fact, this is the time to respect them, because they are the people who work hard in the fields, and only then crops or grains we get. Let me explain the last scene of this novel, where Hori, the main character, is going to die. And what happens? That he is on the verge of death. And at that time, the relatives, brothers, they say, Bhabhi, come and start, please do the Godan of Dada. Now the question arises, we generally feel that it is a scene when this is the last scene and it is the death scene, it will create a sense of sympathy, or it will arouse emotions among the people, it will arouse sympathy and compassion among the people. But in case of the novelist, the purpose of the novelist is not to create sympathy. Of course, his purpose is to create sympathy, but in fact, he has targeted a satire on the existing social evils. He is going to say, what kind of religion is this? What kind of social system is this that the person is going to die? He is penniless. He has nothing to eat. All of the members of his family, they are in trouble. And at the same time, what kind of system is this that 20 annas are inside the house of Dhania, she goes and brings it and keeps all these things in the hands of Dattadev Brahman. So, in fact, by writing Godan, Munshi Premchand has attacked on social evils. He is going to say that unless and until we eradicate the social evils or the Brahminical system of society, and these evils are to be eradicated if Hindu society has to progress, what will happen? All these things are to be taken into account. So, through this novel, Munshi Premchand has to say that if we want to make a civilized society, if we want to make a developed society, if we want to make a cultured society, there should not be the social inequality. There should not be economic inequality in society. What he wants to say that this problem of the poor is not God-made, rather it is man-made. And so, this is the time to educate the farmers. And if we are able to educate the farmers, what will happen? These, what Munshi Premchand wants to say, that as they are illiterate, as they are uneducated, so they have become fatalists, they have become traditionalists, they have become irrationalists. So, Munshi Premchand's attempt is to arouse the consciousness of the people towards this fact that unless and until we make changes in the lot of the farmers of society, how can India go ahead? As far as the theme of this novel is concerned, the theme of this novel can be compared with the theme of the novel, a famous novel written by Kamla Markande, and the title of that novel is A Nectar in a Sea. A Nectar in a Sea is a wonderful novel written by Kamla Markande, where she has focused on the problems of the farmers in the villages. Untouchable is a novel by Mulk Raj Anand, where Mulk Raj Anand has pondered over the problems of the marginalized sections of society. Here in this context, we can compare Munshi Premchand, Godan, where hunger, the characters are facing hunger all the time. There is a wonderful novel written by Bhavani Bhattacharya in English, and the title of that novel is So Many Hungers. So these three novels have got very great similarity with the theme of Premchand's Godan. As far as the matter of the theme is concerned, the characters are concerned, Munshi Premchand can be compared with Maxim Gorky, Leo Tolstoy, Anton Chekhov on international level. And in conclusion, it can be said very firmly that Godan by Munshi Premchand is a novel having timeless and ageless appeal. It has a thought-provoking title. It has a well-organized plot. Its dialogue and diction are highly appreciable, and more importantly, the purpose of the novel is very sacrosanct. It is very sacred, and the novelist has made his painstaking effort to convince the Indians that if we want to make a progressive society, we shall have to make changes in the lot of the farmers. And this is the main aim of Munshi Premchand. Now, before I wind up my lecture, I would like to show you some of the slides with the help of which you will be able to understand the theme of the novel in a very nice manner. Let us come and work on the different slides. I am sure of it. With the help of these slides, I will be able to go into your mind in a very easy, comfortable manner. Boys and girls, here are 4 slides for you, and these 4 slides have been prepared by me to make you understand the theme of the novel Godan by Munshi Premchand. In slide 1, as you see, it has been shown that Premchand was born on 31st July 1880 and he passed away from this world on 8th October 1936. Godan is the last novel of Munshi Premchand and it was published in the year 1936. In 1936 it was published and marked this year, in this year the novel has been published and in the same year Munshi Premchand passed away from this world. This is the last novel of Munshi Premchand. And all these things, the process of understanding will become easier if we take into account some of the knowledge and information regarding Premchand's life. Premchand's mother's name was Anandi Devi and Premchand's father was Ajablal Roy and he was a clerk in a post office and Munshi Premchand's mother was a housewife. Munshi Premchand's wife was Sibrani Devi and Munshi Premchand's real name was Dhanpat Roy. Premchand was addressed as Nawab Roy by his uncle. In this connection, here these points are also to be taken into account. Godan was originally written in Urdu but was first translated into Hindi and then in English. Godan was translated into Hindi by Munshi Premchand himself, but as far as the translation into English is concerned, in English it has been translated by Jayaratan and Pila. Premchand's literary career began with his novel in Urdu, Asrar-e-Mabir, The Mystery of the Temple. Godan, Gaban, Nirmala, Rangbhumi, Karmbhumi, Premashram, Sevasadan, Pratigya, Vardhan, etc. are his famous novels. ईदगाह, बूढ़ी काकी, नमक का दारोगा, पंच परमेश्वर, शतरंज के खिलाड़ी, ठाकुर का कुआं, etc. are some of his ever memorable short stories in Hindi. This was your all about from slide number 1 and now let us come to slide number 2. Here in this slide number 2 I have projected the gallery of characters in Godan. There are two types of characters in Godan. Main characters from the rural area are Hori. Hori is the main character. Dhania is his wife. Gobar is his 16 years old son. Junia has fallen in, she is the young widow of Bhola. Datadin, Matadin, Celia, Jhingori Singh, Pateswari, Hira, Sona, Rupa. Before I delineate about the main characters representing the urban area, in due course of my lecture I told you that Gobar and Junia had fallen in love with each other, and in the novel Matadin and Celia had also fallen in love with each other. Matadin is a Brahmin and Celia is a Chamadin. She belongs to a low caste and Premchand had shown the victory of love that of course for some time Matadin does not accept Celia as his wife, but in the end of the novel what we find that Celia becomes the wife of Matadin after the death of the son. In fact, Matadin's heart is completely changed when he finds Celia all alone when she is bereaved because she had lost her 2-year son. So, by the love story of Matadin and Celia, Munshi Premchand is dreaming of a society where there will be no caste, means there should be a casteless society in India. Here, one thing is also to be taken into account that Munshi Premchand's philosophy was greatly characterized by the philosophy of Karl Marx for some time. Now, this is the time to talk about the main characters representing the urban area. The Rai Sahab, Miss Malti, Professor Mehta, Mr. Khanna, Govindi Devi, Mirza Khurshid, Pandit Omkarnath, Meenakshi, Mr. Tankha, Rudrapal Singh are the characters from the urban area. Here, it is very noteworthy that Munshi Premchand's main business is not to focus on the problems of the urban area, or he has nothing to do with the situations or the challenges of life in the urban area. What he has to say, he has everything to say about the rural area where Hori lives. Now come to slide number 3. This slide is concerned with the theme of the novel. People may ask you this question as to what is the theme of the novel, and in due course of my lecture, while delivering the lecture, I made you know that it is very difficult to pinpoint the theme, one particular point, that this is the main theme. However, there are the points which should be taken into account, and as far as the main theme of this novel is concerned, we can say that exploitation of the poor peasants at the hands of the landlords and moneylenders is at the nucleus of this novel, and this is the theme of this novel. This novel describes the endless tale of poverty, hunger, corruption and exploitation of the poor farmers living in the villages. This novel emphasizes that debt is the naked reality of a peasant's life. Through this novel, Premchand has exposed the hollowness and hypocrisy of the high caste in the villages. Religious bigotry culminating into fatalism and irrationalism and blind faith has also been emphasized by Munshi Premchand. Munshi Premchand has targeted satire on the age-old beliefs, worn-out customs and casteism and devils prevalent in those days in the existing society. This novel describes the social, economic and political situations of village life, its challenges, and at the same time, through this novel, Munshi Premchand has made a scathing attack on social evils like untouchability, dowry system and something else. Adverse effects of industrialization have also been focused. He says that due to the adverse effects of industrialization, people of the day had become corrupted, morally degraded, and they wanted to make money at any rate. Brahmins didn't understand as to how these poor people were working in the field and they were toiling and moiling in the field, and in spite of that they were not able to manage both square mill. But as I delivered in my lecture, that Godan is not the story of exploitation or the expression of the endless tale of poverty, hunger, corruption and exploitation of the poor farmers. Godan possesses beautiful love stories between Gobar and Junia. This has been between Professor Mehta and Miss Malti, and between Mata Din and Celia. This was the slide number 3, boys and girls. Now let us come to slide number 4. And in slide number 4, before I come to slide number 4, here I have to say something here in this regard, that Godan by Munshi Premchand is to give a call to the slumbering Indian masses. Godan is to create awareness among the people Godan is to generate consciousness among the intellectuals and the powerful people, to equip the poor with education and social and economic equality. And very rightly, it has been said by Munshi Premchand in the conference held in 1936, and it was the conference of the progressive writers, and it was held in 1936. There Munshi Premchand says, I weigh art in the scale of utility. We shall have to change our criteria of beauty. There is no room in the temple of literature for those who love wealth. We are soldiers holding aloft the banner of the community. Here, boys and girls, try to understand this point, that to Munshi Premchand, literature is not merely a source of entertainment. What he says, I weigh art in the scale of utility. And this line has been spoken by, this line is the soul of his philosophy of Munshi Premchand, where he says that literature is of course, literature is the mirror of society, but literature is not merely the source of entertainment. Literature must be concerned, literature must be linked with the problems of society. And when literature invites the readers to search the problems of society, it becomes very meaningful, and that Munshi Premchand wants to say. And that is why Munshi Premchand says in his famous book साहित्य का उद्देश्य, जिस साहित्य से हमारी सुरुचि न जागे, आध्यात्मिक और मानसिक तृप्ति न मिले, हम में गति और शक्ति न पैदा हो, हमारा सौंदर्य प्रेम न जागृत हो, जो हम में संकल्प और कठिनाइयों पर विजय प्राप्त करने की सच्ची दृढ़ता न उत्पन्न करे, वह हमारे लिए बेकार है, वह साहित्य कहलाने का अधिकारी नहीं है. This line epitomizes the philosophy of Munshi Premchand, and all these lines have been very beautifully expressed by Munshi Premchand here in this timeless and ageless novel Godan. So, in one line, I must say that Godan is a very interesting novel. It is an invigorating novel. It is an illuminating novel. And when we go through its plot, when we go through its diction, when we go through its dialogue, we are bound to say that man may come and man may go, but Munshi Premchand will go on forever. Indians cannot bear to forget Munshi Premchand. Time cannot devour the name and fame of Munshi Premchand. He is the most luminous star of the sky of Indian novel. And last but not the least, here one of my friends had suggested that after the lecture I must give you a call, and certainly I wanted to do it in my earlier lecture also. So boys and girls, keeping in view the outbreak of coronavirus, stay home and stay safe. And if you do this, it will be a great salute to Munshi Premchand, because everywhere Munshi Premchand has said that the purpose of literature is to create awareness. The purpose of literature is to generate consciousness among the people. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.